Welcome to I Quit My Job. This one is going good. This is all about the community.
Yes, it is, folks.
And
What's
for
going on?
sure, I have no other than Elaine. I appreciate it so much, Elaine, that you showed up. Showed some love.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. This has been this has been a work in progress, a masterpiece, not a work, masterpiece in progress.
So this is pretty cool. We're actually going live, talking to two audiences at once.
Yes.
So this is I Quit My Job. I'm slowly plus one. And this is all about the community for tonight. Tonight's all about community. It's all about concepts.
Yes.
It's all about stories. It's all about how this young lady is actually, working on her own and working for herself and how she does it, but she does it through community. And she has an amazing story, and she's going to share all that. We're going to have a really cool, organic conversation all about ghetto stories,
Yes.
So, Elaine, the way this works is, it's all about I quit my job. What I'm going to do is just kind of ask you to tell us what you're currently doing now. And then throughout the conversation, we're going to bring it 360 so that they could know how you got to what you're doing now.
All right. At this present moment, I am standing in gratitude. I am working with Urban Res, but I do social work, and I work with a program called Inside Out.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, Inside Out. And that just says we work with them on the inside, get their mind right. And when they come outside, we have a team of amazing people ready to just give them all the things they need. If it's housing, they get housing. How to get some financial, stuff happening, we work on that too.
Right.
We have employers that are waiting just to hire them.
Oh, nice.
So
nice,
talk about,
nice.
A
And what is
holistic
them? And who is them? Like,
And when I say them, young men who have been incarcerated. And we know
nice.
what that feels like when you have been incarcerated, you come out, you're trying to do the right thing to get, because sometimes we get in those positions by decisions that we made.
Right.
That we're not always, it's about the hustle.
Right.
And life happens. So we make sure that they understand what that is and get them ready to never, ever enter those institutions again.
Wow. Commend you. That's great work.
Yeah.
Still doing the community thing. That's
yes.
Great.
Can't get away from it.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yes.
So as you know, this is all about I quit my job, changing careers, going into the unknown, taking that deep dive. So I noticed that, what is your I quit my job story? I know you work for yourself, but we'll jump into that after. But have you ever had that moment of quitting your job, or were you always inside the community?
I had to step away from community for a while. I stepped away from community since 2019. I have not worked for anything or anyone since 2019.
Okay.
So that it was a challenge. It still is a challenge to get back into, but that was what I had to do. Because there was many things that happened in between that. But even the way it happened, and I said I didn't want to go back into those spaces.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So those spaces meaning corporate or community?
Community, but it was a shelter.
Okay.
I was a supervisor for a shelter. And the challenge for me in that was it was the lowest of barriers, but the ingratitude of the people that were coming in. And then the institution had an expectation as to how they wanted the people to be looked after. And I think somewhere along the line, we just kind of missed each other because they were coming in with expectations that we couldn't give them. And then we had workers who also didn't understand what they were supposed to do. So that idea came like this, boom, and we threw it together, and it happened.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
The work that went in between. So now we got it, we secure it, we're building it, but it's missing quite a few things.
Okay.
So that was a challenge for us. And I reached out to the community, and I have to big up all my brethren and sisters who came through when I put the call out. Avalon of Celebrity Salon came through and she put a TV on the wall.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
Angela, Miss Angela Bernard, big up, because she came through with water. She came through with all kinds of things. You know what I mean? And there's quite a few. Mr. Bernard came through with clothes. He filled a room with clothes.
Wow.
Right? And I called out to the community, other community members, and no disrespect if I forget or forgotten your name, but they came through when I put the call out. So it was beautiful to see the response of the community.
Is this all under your brand now, or
That was then. That was then.
Okay,
That was then.
okay,
So my brand now is it's a different world.
right,
So I'm trying to secure exactly what it is that I want to give back to the community.
right,
Right?
right.
I've partnered with a lot of people. I've been in a lot of places and spaces, but I'm now ready to just say, okay, this is officially Ghetto Stories.
So in between that transition, what was that like? What was that first day like when you left that other position to think about what it is that you were going to do? Did you know what you wanted to do next?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I did, well, yes and no. So the first thing I did was have a party. That was the first thing I
Nice,
did because it
nice.
was around my birthday.
Mhm.
I was going to be 55 years old, and I there was
You
not
look
much
so- you look so
celebrating.
young.
You know.
Mhm. You're more than welcome.
There you go. Thank you.
You're more than
And
welcome.
I wanted to celebrate myself. I want to celebrate my journey. So I said, okay, that's the first thing I did. So pretty much a lot of money, and I had it in a center, the center
Mhm.
that introduced me to the person I am.
Oh, nice.
So it was also a means of, and I was in that center for my 50th.
Hmm.
And the people that were in that room were people that I've known since I came to this country. Right? Some of them, I was 10 years old when we met.
Oh, wow.
Like 11. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
wanted that room. I wasn't having a bashment. I didn't want a bashment. Could have done that. I
Right.
wanted a room full of love
Mhm.
and people who knew me. For
So
who
you
I
were
am.
celebrating at that
Yes,
moment.
I celebrated. I
Okay.
celebrated. I celebrated. And then after that, reality kicked in.
So what was that like? What was that
Reality was like, there is no paycheck every 2 weeks, Virgin.
Mhm.
So it's like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to survive? And then I, made that very lonely walk over to Service Canada
Right.
with my ROE
Mhm.
and that in. Yeah,
So it was official.
it was official. Once I handed in the ROE, it was official that that's it. And I said I was not going back into those spaces because it was not healthy. It
Okay.
was not healthy.
Okay.
Between the fights of the workers,
Mhm.
right? Because there were a lot of people that looked like me, and they were very vindictive set of people.
Mhm.
They were just always fighting. There was always a fight. It was always a fight. We
Mhm.
were never harmonious.
Do you feel that's part of the community structure, though?
In those spaces,
Yes,
yes.
that's part of the
Yeah,
structure.
in those spaces, yes.
And why do you think that when it's all people that are working there with love that wants to give back? Like, why do those things happen?
I think it happens because a lot of them are not sure of who they are.
Mm.
So when you're not sure of who you are and not understanding how big the universe is and that there's enough for all of us,
Right.
you're gonna have that crab in the bucket mentality.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now that you left that space and you've had your first day, you
Mhm.
partied, you got over it, and then reality kicked in.
Yes.
So during that time, how did you know like this is the step you're going to take? Was there some type of sign that says, "Hey, I'm going towards my ghetto stories, and this is what it's going to be"?
From the day that I registered the business, I knew what I wanted to do with it. What I did not do was I did not align myself
Mm.
with people that was doing the business because I was nervous. I didn't know what to do,
Right.
and I heard a lot of horror stories. So I just stayed away.
Okay.
Right. I just
Right.
went inward
Just to try to build
just
it.
to try and build. And I
So what lessons did you learn from that?
the lesson I learned is no man or woman is an island.
Mhm.
So you need to go and find your tribe. Go
Nice.
and find your tribe, and be willing to be coachable, be willing to be teachable,
Mhm.
be willing to make mistakes with the understanding that it's a miss and you get another take.
Right. How was your support? That sounds very like you were just so by yourself the way you were speaking until you found your tribe. So in between that, how was your support in
My
moving
support
forward?
was good. I had some good people that I could go and talk to, and they're still there. I traveled from here to Barrie to have that support system.
Oh,
And I
nice.
kept that, and it was
Nice.
beautiful. I was able to share what was happening.
Mhm.
I got some excellent direction.
So what would you say to somebody that's looking at you and just saying, oh my gosh, this woman inspires me. She's not worried about her age. She's not worried about anything. She's just out there getting it. How can you speak to somebody that's in that position and a little bit nervous to move forward?
Age is none but a number. That's all it is.
Mhm.
Don't ever be afraid. Do not let anything stand in your way of that dream. And look for people who have been there, done that in your age group.
Mhm.
Because when I think of that, I think of Colonel Sanders,
Right.
65.
Right.
So
Wow.
I just want to say to anybody and everybody that's out there, please do not let anything and stand in your way of that dream that you need to get accomplished.
Mm. Was there signs that you saw while in that struggle that said this is it?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not going back?
Yes. Many things that I saw in that. I even saw the director, like everybody that was there,
Mhm.
they were taking out of their jobs.
Mhm.
They had to go.
Mhm.
So if they had to go, that means I'm no different.
Right.
So don't get too, don't get too comfortable with this. That's all they kept saying. I saw the ED got let go. I saw the manager let go. Everybody that was around, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, so I'm next.
Right.
So yeah, that's all I kept saying. Like I'm next.
What were those struggles?
All of them. So in 2017, I got the opportunity to be on a live radio station or internet station, Frequency 5.
Right.
So when I got to Frequency 5 now, and big shout out to Giselle Wilson, because she came on board with me. Actually, she was my first interviewee.
Right.
And then in being that, I'm saying, oh man, she's awesome. Okay, let's do this together.
Mhm.
And she was open and ready to. After I shared a few of the stories,
Mhm.
people were messaging me. When we came on live, we had anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 people come on.
Wow.
Right? And they were like, oh my God, people from New York, Jamaica, all around the place. And they were messaging because I think for a lot of them, when they heard ghetto, they thought it was going to be something really ratchet.
That was my next step. Explain Ghetto Stories.
Okay.
But finish your story and then jump into that.
So when we got on there and the people that we interviewed, people were just amazed. And with the understanding that the ghetto is not a physical place. Right? And it's not about color. So they were looking for reasons, right? So we had some amazing people who came on who said to them, I have Paul, big shout out to Mr. Paul Nugent, right? He's now a MP, or is it an MPP, right? Straight out of Jane and Finch. And he came and spoke his story. And I think everybody was like, oh my God, he's a Chinese-looking gentleman, and he's white. What do you know about ghetto? You know what I mean? So that was what brought us over the top. And I said, people keep listening. So, and then they started calling me, oh, tell us more about this Ghetto Stories. So,
nice.
And I started getting excited now. I'm like, yeah, they understand. And I'm just going around telling any opportunity that I could get to tell the stories. And in 2017, people were knocking down the doors. I was all over the place, getting all kinds of awards for just telling the stories.
Just telling the stories.
Just telling the stories. And I think they were shocked as to how raw and real I was with the story.
Right.
Because I didn't hide anything.
Right. And what is in the Ghetto Story?
The Ghetto Stories is my story of struggle, of overcoming odds, giving birth on my 16th birthday to my first child, but before that I was in CAS, right? Coming from CAS, going straight from that into Home for Unwed Mothers is what they called them at that time, you know what I mean? And being written off that, all you're going to do is have baby and live off the government. And I'm like, I'm not one of those. I'm not living off the government, right? So I went to work. Any fast food place that I could work, I went. Anybody that would hire me to do something. And I had many skills. I was an entrepreneur before entrepreneur was sexy.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
In my basement doing hair. Anybody that would hire me doing hair. I was all these things. Any opportunity that I got to use my skills, That's what I did.
So that is the ghetto story.
That's a ghetto story right
And
there.
so is that ghetto story being played out now? Like what is your intent for ghetto stories now? Like what are you building towards?
My intent is for people to understand the power of words and for them to understand the power of telling their stories. There's somebody out there waiting for your story so they can heal from something or that they can move on, right? Because sometimes we get stuck in a story and it keeps us right where we are. So I want to say, your story is going to elevate somebody's. That's the power in stories. Like there's so much stories about of overcoming odds.
Right.
That's what
Right,
I want
right,
the world
right,
to see and
right.
know that. Don't hide.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
don't hide,
'Cause
don't hide.
We're aligned on the same issue, you know?
Yes.
This is what I Quit My Job is all about.
So I've been a child youth worker, I think before it had a name. And I trained a lot of people to do the work, but I didn't have any education.
Right.
I said, oh my God, I'm now on baby number 3, and I don't have a high school diploma. In a world where they keep pushing that on you.
Right.
Right? So everywhere I went is, oh, what college did you go to? I didn't go to any. So what university did you go to? I haven't been there yet. Right? So these were all the conversations that we're having around. And I was in some of the places with some very, quote unquote, educated people. Right? So it had me, and my mind was just, I was playing with my mind. I was like, that means, you're not. And then you'd go, even amongst our peoples, right? And they would say things, and you'd be like, and when you're in your feelings, and you don't understand certain things, or you have not allowed yourself to understand certain things, you get all up in your feelings, and your brain get foggy, and you just start, thinking less of yourself instead of more. Right? And that's how I felt many times. I worried. Every time we went into places and spaces, and I always wanted to defend it. So if somebody said something, I was ready to be, yeah. So I had to deal with that.
So that showed you that you were on your way.
Yes.
When you were able to be able to understand that feeling.
Yes.
And deal with those kind of things that projected onto you.
Yes. Official, y'all can cheer for me. I'm an official not-for-profit.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
I put the work in for that.
Nice.
I even got the letters, the acronym patent. So I got the acronym because I had to. Nice. I found myself in places and spaces where every time they would ask for something, I'm like, but I don't have that. I didn't incorporate. So I'm doing all of these things. So it's ready. So I'm applying for grants that I'm able to now do what I really want to do.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then, of course, the podcast is coming because I want to bring on people to tell their powerful stories because there's somebody, and I will say it again, there's somebody out there waiting for that story that they can make a move to do something that they've always wanted to do, but because they didn't believe that it was possible, they just kind of stayed back. You need to surround yourself with people who believe in what it is that you're doing. Because if you're in that corner by yourself, it's a lonely place. Been there, done that. So you need to find a tribe of people who are not cheerleaders, not just going to cheer you and say, They're going to push you. Right now, I'm at the Schulich School of Business, right? I do that online, and when I can be in the classroom, I'm in the classroom.
Nice,
right?
nice.
So that's also part of understanding what business is all about, right? So I'm able to deliver.
And I see you in the community. I remember, you used to come by the center, and you were in the community. You were speaking about some of these things to me and what you wanted to do.
Yes.
And then now it's
8 years ago.
Now it's
more than 8 years ago.
You used to come by the center, and then it was now look, you're fully involved. You're actually doing it, you know what I'm saying? And you're doing it at a level, because when I look at it and I see you on these social medias, I'm like, don't this lady get tired? But it looks amazing, though, and I, give you congrats for, loving the community the way you are. But also you're bringing your own, intent and your own business to the community, because the community will get in a way where Like if it's being led by always grants and those that are like
Mm-hmm.
seeking grants to survive,
Mm-hmm.
then it's always going to be controlled in a way. And
Yes.
then those people that really have stories or really have things to say,
Yes.
they get missed along the way because
Mm-hmm.
they get swallowed up by these grants and these organizations that be able to do that.
Yes.
So it's cool to see you as a grassroots individual still at it, go to communities, and now the communities are actually taking advantage because they see the power in you. And remember, sharing your story, that's power.
Mm-hmm.
That's also equity.
Yes.
That's what also makes
Yes.
you money.
Yes.
It can also give you somewhere. So
Yes.
a lot of people are walking around with equity on them and don't know how
Don't
to
know.
polish it, right? Everybody loves what you're doing.
Yes.
But they see the strong term,
Yes.
ghetto. No?
If I had $1 for
Mhm.
every time I got a phone call to say, or somebody message me, what is this ghetto thing? Right? And I always get, and they're always
Like,
coming,
what is your small
what is it?
business?
What is it? What is it? What is it? You know, I've heard that people have even given me awards without even knowing what it is that I do. You know, they've given me media awards and they're like, what do you do? And I said, go and check out the page. And it's not about me, because I don't want to tell you my story. I want to tell other people's stories. And I remember when I did my first Facebook Live, you know, shout out to Ita Sadu. And she said, Sister Elaine, just turn on the camera and start talking. And that's how that part started. Mm-hmm. And I had people, oh, everywhere you go, you have to, you know, live. And then they would, oh, what are you trying to do? Show off? You're trying to show off? And I'm like, clearly you don't get it.
Right.
Clearly.
Right.
So I will leave that alone. So I had to learn how to share what I'm sharing. Mm-hmm. And then I started to see an audience coming. And I would hear, oh, Miss Ghetto Stories, are you going to be here? Yes. And then I started getting the phone calls. Miss Ghetto Story, can you come by and, you know, share what you're doing? Right. And that's where I started, my confidence started to build up even more. And I'll give you a little history. We took a group of young people to Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Right? 47 of them from 7 different hoods in the GTA. Right. To teach them about who they are. Young, black, up-and-coming young people need to know their history. So we took them there. Right. While we were there, we met a lady, and she says, in her accent, and I'm going to try to do the accent for you guys. She's like, y'all from Toronto? And I hear you all from the ghetto in Toronto. Oh, my. That one kind of, from the ghetto, Lord. And then she says, ghetto means getting higher education to teach others. So if you don't know, you all are powerful. And I was just like, from that day, I came home, I made T-shirts. Nobody could ever say ghetto to me and I don't break that down. Right. They could never say that to me and I don't. You mean?
So you're saying that woman could have been your mentor?
That she could have been. From that day. And I came back, and that was in the night. That did it for me. You should have seen the look on the young man's face when he asked me, what is your company name? And I said to him, I am Ghetto. And he went, and then I said the acronym. I said, getting higher education to teach others. And he was like, what? Whoa. Even the lady, when the whole package and registered, she held it. And she said, I need to see the person that is brave enough. Those were her words to me. Brave enough to use this word like this for a business.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So throughout your time in forging this business, and you still got ways to go, what is it that you think that people see in you, why they can attract to you?
I think they see realness. At times a young lady told me that I'm real till I'm at fault. I don't know, there are people who know to tone and pretty and say, I don't know how to do that. Right. My emotions get the best of me at times, especially if it's community related, because I'm wanting everyone to see and understand, not because you come from a physical place, right? And it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be there in your mind. You do not have to be there in your mind, because the greatest people come from places and spaces, the Jay-Z's of the Mercy Projects, the Diana Ross from Boston Projects, and the list is long. Right. When I start to know that, and I put that in my head, I'm like, I'm unstoppable. But I had to get out of my own way.
Right? They're not only coming from the Marcy, they're coming out of jungle.
Jungle.
Iraqi,
That's what I'm saying.
Asian Park,
Right? So when I
coming
say
out of
that,
Malta.
that's what these are the things, right, that I talk about, that I want the rest of the world to see and understand that it might be a physical place, but it's a state of mind that gets you out of those places.
So it's all about the mind.
All about the mind.
What is
Right.
what is a good quote that you use?
Impossible is not a word. That's one of my favorite. Impossible is not a word. And then I like Malcolm X when he says, to educate a man is to educate an ordinary individual. But to educate a woman is to liberate a nation.
Oh, no.
Right? So I'm like, I have a nation to liberate because I have all these young people that they've been a part of my life since a lot of them, came off the breasts. And I still have them around me. I have them who I've walked them into institutions, seen them come out with their diplomas. I get invited to graduations, from here to Windsor. The energy came from, I call it the warrior spirit, because whenever I'm doing anything, I call on all the ancestors. Good. Ghetto Stories is a humanist movement. Male, female, young, old, whoever you are, and you have a story of overcoming insurmountable odds. I want to hear. Somebody out there wants to hear it because somebody needs it so that they can move to the next level that they need to get to. And be willing to understand that, sometimes when we're telling the story, we can't give all of it. So we have to give the pieces that will resonate with the community. And there's always support and help. Because when I got to George Brown, with love, right, I didn't pay for anything. I got scholarships. I got scholarship as the first black somebody, as the first in my age to do. I was the youngest, this, that, and you name it. And I got Miss Jean Augustine scholarship while I was there.
Wow.
Right? So, and that's one of my sheroes. I have to tell the story. A brethren of mine that we work together, and he said to me, "Are you going to do frontline work forever?" And I said, no. He said, "There's no money down at Frontline." But I said, "But I love the people." And he says, "There's no money at Frontline." And he said to me, "Okay, here's what you're going to do. Meet me at George Brown College." And I've tried George Brown 2 times already. And he said, "Meet me at George Brown College. Bring your resume." I brought my resume. The lady said, "You did all of this?" I said, "And they told me to put it on 2 pages." She says, "There's more?" I said, "Lots more." And she says, "Okay, bypass the first year because you would be of no use to us in the first year. We have to learn how to adjust, make that shift, keep your eyes on the prize." When we understand the value of something, we behave differently. When you don't see the value, you don't understand it, so you just go. So the value of education walked me into my first real paying job.
So this was, I'm Slowly +1, and this is really interesting. I love the fact that I got to talk to a real community member, a community champion, not just a member, a champion that champions for all those out there through her Ghetto Stories. And as Elaine was saying, it's cool to kind of share your stories, check her out, share your stories, get it out there, and from my point of view, get your stories out there because it's equity. You're sitting on equity, social equity, so share your stories. You never know what can happen. You never know who you're going to inspire as well.
Very true. But I would say before you share that story, that authentic story, you need to understand the story. You need to make peace with the pieces of the story so you can share it authentically. You don't just share a story because you want to tell a story. We get enough of that on the television, aka the television. It's a script and they read from it. This is your life. Right? Nice. You are the CEO. You are the everything of this life. So when you're ready to tell that story, you have to have made peace with it. What I did as part of Les Brown said, if you want to learn how to tell powerful stories, go to Toastmasters. Right? So I did that.
But now you're in the community. What is your goal?
My goal is I'm working patiently to get a space of my own. And that space will be to do all the things that I love to do, teach young people skills, and create some more leadership in our community. Right? That's what I want to do with my platform. Tell the stories, create spaces that they're able to share their stories, and let's build on it. So remember the acronym: getting higher education to teach others. Education is not an institution. Education is self.
Oh, nice, nice. So, on that note, I want to thank you guys for like showing up and peeping this episode about community. I want to thank you, Elaine, so much for showing up. This is so good, you know.
Thank you for
so
having me.
And I'm Slowly Plus One. And again, this is I Quit My Job, where ordinary stories lead to extraordinary inspirations. Have yourself a great moment. Peace.